Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 426th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, March 31st, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department, part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host here once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers Workshops. And once again, we are joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will deliver the latest news and information and teachings from the Keshe Foundation and from himself. Okay, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin today?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Spaceship Institute from somewhere on this planet and somewhere in a point in the universe. We welcome you back, and as usual, we try to share more knowledge and more understanding. Before the part of the teaching, Rick asked me a question to be clarified in respect to many of your questions about the spaceship units. The spaceship units and documents for it for some of you who want to submit it to your governments or to your institute and universities to make the request to receive it will be put together in the next couple of weeks completely with the headquarters and everything else to go with it, that the officials can take steps. When you do such a thing, the majority of the time, it's not that just you approach the government. The government then goes through foreign office goes through the embassy, and they usually have somebody in the embassy who's scientific attaché or something to do with the scientific part. And they appoint them to check, to come to see, and then get the documents, they report back to their foreign office, and foreign office goes to the government or to the university. This is a normal procedure. It'll take you about a month, sometimes 2 months, depends how much you push it. And so we're setting that structure up that we have the what we call the personnel support to handle the embassies and scientific organizations from the government and universities. It's not that just you walk in and they say, yes, we get the gift. It'll take a month or two for that. And everything goes through a diplomatic. It's not that just you walked in and they accept your word and they do it. You submit the document we give you, and then we give you the offer of a letter of a gift of a unit to the country, and you ask it to be brought. They find most probably a university who can take charge of it, because governments don't do these things themselves. And you have to find a university, and the government says this university is prepared to do it, or this institute is prepared to do it. And then they accept responsibility and it gets done. We expect a lot of paperwork, and we have to get our end sorted out completely to give you the units. But the units which we control, the positions we control, we don't need this to satisfy the government's needs. It'll be done by us. Arizona, Austria, Tehran, Beijing. Most probably we'll land one in Nigeria to Alex, with the setting of having already a company there. Now it gives us a allow that we can go to Australia directly because we already have companies there. Philippines is another point, foundation is there. We can shortcut to ours and then invite to do. So the first units which are getting to go will go in these positions that you have a what I call a reference when you go that is already been done. We are ready to ship the first units in next few days. And with it, once we have everything we want cleared in the position and shipping, Arizona and Tehran and Austria will receive their units as it comes up. And then we have others to go through, and we build up that way. But those of you who have no point of reference, they have no companies of Keshe Foundation that we can work through, then we'll go to what we call you have to go through the diplomatic and the universities to find the right match. We already have a setup in UK, so we can go directly into the structure. And the same is with Brazil. It's easy for us because we already have an established company there. And this will be done in that process, and that needs time. We have to prepare our side. There is a lot of movement in the background with the Keshe Foundation. And we don't announce it anymore because we used to do it. We get a lot of problem with a bunch of hooligans on the internet. And so we do it. We give you a point of reference. And when it comes in there, it will be handled by people who are appointed to do it. Then we need a couple of weeks ourselves to do it as a totality, that we are prepared that the emails and the inquiries doesn't come and stays on the table for weeks on that we can respond within days from now. I hope that answers a lot of you questions. And in a way, we are in the process of a lot of changes and a lot of movement. And there is we're waiting for one thing to clarify in the Keshe Foundation in the background, that we can proceed with the rest of it. In regard to the teachings of what I call understanding the process of the interaction of the fields, a lot of you have a problem, or a lot of people have a problem, that how do I recognize I want to land on the house number 6 Sanchez Street and not on number 4? I don't land in the wrong place. How accurate is the system? How do we land in a position? How can I know I want to land on the north of the moon, not on the south pole of the moon? How can I pinpoint accuracy to where I want to go? This goes back to the total understanding of the interaction of the fields in the universe. Is part of what we call the communication line of what we have and what we choose to have. This is me with my soul, and I want to land here first at number 4 in the city of Tehran on the streets of whatever. This is the position I want to be. Then after that, I want to go to New York on the 5th Avenue to see Azar in her surgery. How do we do it? How do we know we land in the place, and how we know that when you arrived here, Azar is in the surgery and not travel to Tehran for the new year, where you just came from? Go back to the teachings. Go back to the understanding that every magnet has a connection with every magnetic field, every element ever produced in the universe. Through the system, through the structure of the soul, when you enter the enhancement flight unit and you enter what I call control unit, you're sitting here, what I call with a hair dryer on top of your head, and with your soul centered, beautifully dressed, waiting to fly. You have, when you have Azar and Tehran, You have the position 1 and then the soul of other 2. Pinpoint accuracy. Because one of these links is connected to the position and the place of the wish, and one to Azar. In a way, the soul of Azar brings you to where she is, because there is more communication in the line. You don't go there and find out, oh, sorry, she's not there. I went wrong. But before you take the flight, the soul of the way you communicate, the way you understand is, I don't have time to see you. Come tomorrow. You don't take a flight because the soul have already agreed on a time, position, and a place. You want to travel to the North Pole of the moon, you still have a magnetic field connection. One of these lines is already connected. The transportation and transmutation of the future is understanding the flow of the magnetic field. If you go back to the teachings of the past, I've mentioned quite a few times the human scientist, the knowledgeable scientists of this planet up to now have not managed to measure the field strength, individual field strength of a magnet, which is static. When it comes to the plasma of the soul, when it comes to the plasma of the soul of 2 people or in a various dimension of the universe, these things are not this shape. These things are in motion and somewhere connect. And at the same time, your soul is not a solid magnet sitting there, it's a dynamic plasma. So you are in the same dilemma too. Understanding this new process will be taught in coming time to what we call the pilots of the flight system. To understanding through the knowledge of the soul, not in the classroom. These new flight system, which is now part of what we call the structure of the systems which are built in what we call research labs, and now is getting exported to the places where these units come. You receive the what we call the unit as a flight unit, but then you have to be able to put the match to it, that it works, is set to work with the flight system. It worked to be able to translate the language of what I call the soul, the understanding of the communication in a dynamic state. When you look at this picture, you see it already sits in the structure. When we don't supply this unit with a flight system, you have a health unit, you have a production unit. By adding this system into the structure of the flight system or enhancement unit, we convert the enhancement unit from a health unit, a wellness unit, into a flight system. And this is one of the two apparatuses which is needed to be added to the flight system. Otherwise, you still have the old system of the enhancement unit, which is for the flight, for the health, for wellness centers, for production of what we call a system which we run. At birth, as you can see, these units are all the same. What we build inside it, it changes the system. It becomes a wellness unit if you have a cancer. If the system is built to be for producing food for people to go in the cabin, it becomes a food station. If we decide to become a flight system, you've seen the control system and the flight system added. If you want to be just for psychosomatic to enhance the soul, that the physicality doesn't suffer all sorts of problems, it can be done. So you will see this feature probably in most of the places where you deal with the process of the cash management. Where in these systems we will decide what line is connected to where. What we allow to enter within the cabin, what the fields we keep away from the cabin. The flight system control and protection is totally different than what you use the same system for wellness or for material production. We can tune the system to a specific magnetic field which you see in the magnet, solid magnet, that only connects to the strength field of a specific plasma, of a specific material. You might call it an isotope, or we can mix it in a way that you can make alloys in the condition of the ganses. Up to now, what we have seen, you made the ganses, you dried the ganses, you have it as a solid matter. But how many of you have managed to convert that dry copper oxide to copper? There is a piece of information which is not taught. You can't stack powders of what we call copper GaNs, once you produce it, into copper wires and building a structure or whatever you might need at the time, place, and position. How do you convert this? Some places, flexible structures, which is unknown to man. At the moment, you put your buildings on some springs and some rollers and some magnets that if it comes, the earthquake, it can shake and vibrate to absorb the energy. What about building structures, which is like the body of the man on earth? You have what we call the beam structure, like the bone, and then the flexibility of the movement, where the movement interacts with the life of individuals in each cabin, gives the preference of the pleasure of living. You have not managed to convert the ganses into ganses of life. Up to now, your knowledge has been to bring the technology, changing the matter for the first time to energy, where now we need to teach you how to convert these energies, these gases, into the matter state. Otherwise, you have a bunch of powders, a bunch of gases, a bunch of energies. The conversion process is as important what we learned up to now in producing that conversion from matter state to energy. Now we need to learn the energy to the matter state. I can transport you in the matter of the energy of the soul to another position, but how can I create a condition by the interaction of environment that you manifest yourself on earth again as you in another position and dimension? It's no one's going to turn around to see Azar where she cannot see you, but you're there as an energy. And even as energy cannot recognize your physicality because I don't know who you are. Or my soul knows, but physically I cannot confirm. This is what we actually do in the matter state, the material production unit, which up to now we have not covered. You just know there is a material unit producing whatever you need. But don't forget, you have ganses and nothing else. There is a technique, there is a knowledge to change energy to matter state. And up to now, none of you knowledge seekers have even thought about doing this. I have ganses. How am I going to change it to matter state? What do I need to create that conversion? The material I produce is slightly not the color I want. I want it slightly darker, slightly lighter. You don't have a dye in space to change it. You have to change it with the strength of the field and emotion of your soul. Or the soul of the material satisfies your soul need. When you have the production unit for the materials and you keep on producing energies, but you cannot convert it, where are you going to go? It becomes the position, what I explained to you, the dilemma which is sitting with us in Linz. We have a system active, going nowhere because it has no preset destination. And all it does, it absorbs interaction fields. And what it's doing is what I call it fattening itself. It's storing field dimension. It is creating, in a way, the condition of what we see in our systems. When you look at a composition like this, you want to sell the factory, you walk into a factory condition, you want to have the dimension of a wood, you want to have the dimension of the floor, you want to have the dimension of lighting. You want everything which is complete. You need composite systems which can give you all dimensions. We have this problem now in a physical dimension. It's no good building a structure on the moon where you have to import the materials from the earth and you cannot keep the composition of the wood as wood because in the moon, this composition of the wood will become plastic. I chose these pictures deliberately because you need to look. This is your kitchen. What food you want to make in it. What color would you like the kitchen be all the time? You like the kitchen to be blue, but your partner would like it black. And your child would like it to be green. And you all want to enjoy being in this place to share, most probably, even if you manage to create food on earth. But the pleasure of being together to share energy, what we call the condition. And at another point, you come from a factory. You have a composition of materials. You come from work. The work is on the other side of the moon, and you want to keep your wood. And in transportation of what you make with this wood from factory to home, you don't want it to change composition. When man starts to immigrating in a larger scale, everything has to be precise. We have to develop systems that can choose colors. I like the car to be yellow. You like to see the same car in white. Do we give you each one car, or do we satisfy the emotion of the soul? And we can take this car white from the office to the home and moon, and still your wife, like a pink car, she will see this pink. We come back to what we call integrated plasma systems. In the Keshe Foundation, we are developing this technology. It's no good for you to go to the moon and everything will be gray and just a building. It's important once we get you there, you have the facility to create the condition of what is satisfactory to the soul of the man if you want to create the condition of point of reference. These are the technologies which will merge out of the Keshe Foundation in coming weeks and months. We gave you the condition to fly. You'll have the spaceships. But what happened if on the way from the what they call the work to the home, suddenly part of the soul wants to be somewhere else? Would you end up on the Mars? Or you'll find out, oh, I came to Mars, I actually wanted to be home with my wife. How do we build this new composite structure of the conversion? How do we come to understand? How do we transfer and at the same time collectively hold on to the structure? You don't want to have a house with 3 floors and suddenly become 2. Creation and conversion of the energies is part of the new teachings which will come up. in a way, is for you to decide, as we always said, to be in a feeding position, to be in a condition of creating materials, or you want to live in. But we don't have a separate compartments on that. We live, we create materials, materials are produced for us, and we eat and we help ourselves with the wellness, all in the same thing. We go to a herb, you pick up a herb, this is good for the headache. You go to the plant, this is good for food, energy, what I'm missing. We have no apple trees, and we have no mint herbs, and we have no what I call copper sources or a spinach to give iron to your blood. But within the structure of the construction of this new flight system, everything has been built. Even the emotion. This is part of what we have already built in the flight enhancement systems. And this is the knowledge which scientists in your universities and in your government have to still to unravel for them, for themselves. It's not that we give you the enhancement unit, the flight system, and the material system, and leave you to do it. You have to become knowledgeable to the knowledge of creation. Your scientists have to come to understand this point. The difference between the enhancement units, which now comes as a flight unit, has an additional factor to it. The factor is your system here is for your physical body on Earth, for its operation and existence. In the enhancement unit, you have been the system set to become the passengers of the universe. There is a big gap of knowledge. Our people in the factory are producing things, but they don't understand what sits behind it and how things has been set to become not only food of the apple or the mint on Earth, it becomes the food supplier from depth of the universe, that you can survive in that place and position in the universe. And it's just your brain, when you arrive through your soul, to be able to live in that position. You don't jump in the furnace, and you don't jump in a frozen pool. This is the beauty with understanding the totality of the knowledge. Integrated systems, collective integrated systems. For example, as I explained to some of our manufacturing team and the developed research team, you have a farmer who grows wheat, grows maize, and the pigs. And you want to grow those and feed the pig at the same time. Keep the pig healthy, keep the plant away from diseases, and you cannot, with your present knowledge, you keep on spraying and watering and whatever with gas. The new change in technology is that we become that sun. We can feed the plant, we can feed the pig, we can look after the pests, and at the same time, we allow the cycle of life to be neutral and natural in the position, time, and space. It's time for knowledge seekers to move on to understand more. And the only way I can bring you, and we have set the scene for it, is the 5 cups and the cup of universe. The 5 cups is for the man. Now you have to put the 5 cups in the cup of universe for it to be able to survive in the depth of the universe, that being an included earth. Now you understand why we taught you separately and in a very time distant gap between the two. How do you feed? How do you look after the man in your 5 cups and his soul? And then you bring it into the dimension of the cup of universe. That this man can survive in any position predestined by the soul of the man and that point in the space in the soul of the universe. Now you understand how much we have prepared you to become the travelers of the universe. In simple steps, you made the 5 cups. In the simple steps, you made the cup of life. In the simple steps, you made the cup of the gravity. You made the cup of the soul. You made the cup of this and that. And this is good for you when you're here. Now you have to go back into the cup of universe. How do you feed man in a given time, place, and position in the universe? You remember in the teachings of the past, if you've been through it, what did I refer to? We set like schools, premises, systems on Earth that you go into and see if I go to planet Zeus, how I will live. How would I look? That's only can be done with a cup of universe. You create that condition, that position of the universe, and you put the man in it. Test run. Sandbox. Now you see how the two merges together. You were told to destroy your 5 cups because they wanted to be the prisoner of abuse on this planet. We gave you the cup of universe to bring you with the cup of life, cup of man, to become the passengers of the universe. The time of the slavery is over. Those of you who you destroyed your 5 cups, you made yourself a slave to the devil. You need that to be able to see your position, your time and the space, and the place in where you land, where you will be. If you understood this, if you understood the composition of the two, you are allergic to something, you put the cup of man, which is you in the dimension of you, made by you in the cup of earth, in the cup of the universe. And you satisfy the emotion of the soul. Would you have those psychosomatics? No. Now you see the emergence of the knowledge and technology. We showed you the cup of life. Then we showed you the 5 cups. And you fully understood that. We showed you in a very brief time to open the discussion for you to understand the cup of universe. Did you ever ask yourself why this guy is teaching us about the cup of universe? Because at that time you couldn't see, put the cup of man, the cup of life in the cup of universe, and then you see the behavior of the man, you see the manifestation of the man, you see the understanding of the time and position in which part of the universe you want to be. And these can be produced in these enhancement units. Pre-run. How many of you in your lifetime you said, oh, when next time I am born, I would like to be a cat? Now you have the cup of universe and the cup of you. Create the condition of the emotion of a cat in your cup of universe. And then you see if you like to be a cat. The implication and application of this technology is so deep that some of you will never come to fully be educated to understand the totality. The process of the teaching, the process of understanding is now to bring the same position. You bring the cup of life. You bring the cup of man. And then we create the condition of the balance fields of the soul of the universe. When you walk into the system, you become elevated to the level of the balance fields of the universe. You never be superior, you never be inferior. And this is what I said, when we take man to space, man will be the same as the others. You thought you gathered the whole knowledge, you'll be given everything. No, you are again physical. We gave you the condition of the soul. The soul of the man, when becomes a passenger of the universe, will be equal to the knowledge, to the strength of the soul of the rest. Then he decides what condition of physicality he takes at which position and time. But there is one thing to it. I'm made man in the image of myself. So when you go into this dimension of the elevation of the soul of the man that is equal to the rest, not with the physicality, then won't you become the image of the Creator? This is the technology. This is the universal knowledge, not for you to make ganses and patches. But, as I said before, we had to take you through the education of the nursery and the class 1 and how to write and how to read. And many of you have not gathered the knowledge to read the hidden words within my teachings. In so many ways, you can create the condition of desert in the middle of North Pole. If you understood the interaction of the fields. And then you show the desert sand to the man in the North Pole. And you will see the laughter on the face of an Eskimo. that he could never imagine such a thing exists because the only thing he knows under his feet is mainly ice. This is what the technology has brought us to. Then, how do we understand this? It goes back to all the time, and I keep on emphasizing till some of you and gradually most of you understand. Don't look at the structure of the cup of man. Look at the field interaction of the cup of man. Last night, I was at dinner with one of our knowledge seekers. And it was explained the same setup was set, but different colors and materials is shown. But the sets are set one below the other. I said, you haven't understood. Everything is the same in the boxes, but the fields are not. You're dealing with plasma. You're dealing with energy flow. One box is blue, one box is white, and one box is red, but everything is exactly the same in each box. Move away from physical look and start understanding the interaction of the field. Then you start understanding the interaction of the fields in the boxes. You go to the top, you become blue, and you go to the bottom, you become white, and you go to the middle, you become red. But in essence, it's all the same. It's you who changes its manifestation in the time and presence of the field. Because these cups, these systems, were not set for the matter state, it was set for the solar state. So the soul have respected each other in the field energy transfer. Many of you will not understand this whatsoever. But those of you who have moved to the more advanced levels of understanding the technology know exactly what I'm talking about. We create the condition of universe. We create the condition of understanding the knowledge of creation. And as long as you are entangled in the field strength of the matter state, you'll have the same dilemma. As I said before, you cannot live, you cannot connect, you cannot keep the life of the cup of man if you do not understand the field radiation. That the fields interacts and connects, divides, enhances. And once you manage to grasp this idea and understanding, you will see in a very simple way, which will be shock to many of you, something strange. Very strange. But as I said, in time you'll come to understand. When you have your cup of man set up, and now you have made ganses, and then you learn to create the condition of the fields, radiation field, which is the mono-energetic fields of the universe. In these systems, As you made the cup, you will see the shimmers of your own image. If you get one field radiation wrong, sorry, you will not see the center part, but still exist. If you understand this, then you understand what I've been telling you, that when you come to LINS in the Enhance in the exhibition center, we put the machine here and we put the machine there and we transfer you across. In the knowledge of the man, the technology is complete. It's for you to understand and interpret and develop. Then when you put this man in the environment of the cup of universe, in a position of planet Zeus, what shall you see? How you will shape on planet Zeus. But as we kept the soul the same within the structure is the soul of the man. The same emotion, the same information, and everything else that you carried on planet. Now you understand the teachings of the cup of life, the teaching of the cup of man, the teaching of the cup of universe. It's you by creating the field strength of a appropriate place, you can see how your soul will react and how it will manifest itself in that position, time and place. I used to play a game with my boy when he was very young. And I used to tell him I play magic. And I used to tell him, I can't see you. And he used to jump up and down in their house, in the room, says, Papa, I'm here, I'm here. I said, I can hear you, but I can't see you. He used to jump everywhere. Papa, I'm here, I'm here. And he believed that I cannot see him, but he could hear me. He did all monkey games to be confirmed that he exists, but he's there. This will be you landing in Tehran. Others are there, but they cannot see you because you didn't get the right field strength to manifest yourself as a man who moved from London to Tehran for her to recognize. Is understanding the knowledge, understanding the truth, understanding the position and time. This is what we're moving into as part of, as I said in the last week's teachings, part of the communication, transportation and transmutation. You create, you elevate the soul. How do you transmute it? And then how you manifest it after transmutation in the dimension of the point of observation. It's no good becoming a man and appearing in Tehran in the kidney of Azar and stuff in front of Azar because bloop, you got the dress wrong slightly. She might feel your soul, but there's no way you can manifest yourself as a man in a kidney, in the size of the man. And mankind will make many mistakes. Not only mankind, the citizens of the universe, now they know the knowledge. Till they get it right. You have to go back. You have to understand totality of the knowledge. When I gave you this, I gave you something before. Go back. For nearly 7 years now, we taught you the macro system. And we told you, if you look at it, there is no difference between the magnetic system and your solid magnet. The solid magnet is created by the earth, put together by man or cut as a piece, and you have it. In the magnetic system, you have the ability to decide the strength. If you put two magnets opposite to each other by rotation of the fuel, and you create electric energy, all of you lot have been playing the wrong games, haven't you? The power station has been sitting in front of you. What megawatt you want to get out of it? I gave you the same magnet. Your magnet is solid state, this magnet is plasmatic state. Now you see your generator. You looked for the crumbs, and I gave you the full cake. But this is in a solid state. It creates your energy and electricity in a solid state. You put them in dimension and direction. Now, my dear friends, knowledge seekers, let me open your eyes to what you have had in your hands for a long time. We gave you the magnetic system to test, and you looked for little thing what comes out of here. But the purpose was this. We gave you the cup of universe. And we gave you the cup of man. In the kitchen, you put the pot on the fire, and within it, you cook what you like. I gave you the cup of energy. I gave you the pot. What would you like this man to be in the pot? Now you understand. We told you clearly for a long time that you're missing, you're not connecting the knowledge. Don't go tomorrow, get a maggrav and you put a pot on it and then put something else on it. Then you're back in the same position as you are today. After 7 years, we gave you the maggrav system. Understand the field flow, understand the interaction of the fields. And then you will see you have one of the most powerful generators in the universe. You understand how we have brought you in the knowledge to become equal in the knowledge to the soul of the universe. You say, you're hitting the water and the meat. I'm extending the strength of the soul of the those who were what we call the agents of devil told you to destroy this. And many of you thought it was correct. Now you can see how much you deprive yourself from the knowledge of the universe. What we've seen is for freeing man in a dimension of the soul, not slaving man in a dimension of the physicality that it can be abused physically and the rest. Those who told you to destroy your cup of lives, cup of man, are pedophiles with a long history, and by keeping your children will bring you to that point of abuse, the children of the man. Those who follow them are of the same school. We gave you the freedom of the man through the soul of the man. And the knowledge is set step by step on a solid ground. You had time to test. It wasn't from this week to next week and the other week. We told you about the CO2 cup, the first energies, 15 years ago. Then we took time. We showed you the cup of life. We showed you nothing was gifted to the man than what you call the coronavirus pandemic. They start introducing fields, interaction of the fields. And then you start learning about the interaction, creation of the cup of life. Then the cup of universe. And then still there is other levels of the teaching which is still to come. Understanding of the totality is part of the game. Man has to become used to the game of understanding of the interaction of the fields, not the matters. If you understand how to play with the fields, then you can make any matter. As I always say, today's teaching brings you to a new dimension of understanding. And this is the purpose of this. Because many of you have to become the passengers of these new crafts. You have to know what you're walking into. You have to understand the knowledge that in a space, by understanding it, you can live a beautiful life. Not to be a slave instead of the suit of the monkey as we see with NASA, into the environment of one enhancement unit. We just changed the prison size from clothing to a box. This is the beauty of teaching this way, to bringing the change. But by more and more people to understand, more souls to understand, more educate not just the man, but the soul of the citizens of the universe. Now you fully comprehend those of you who are at that level, what is it? What is planned for the coming teachings? How do we convert these fields to a universal field, to the field of the physicality of the man, or the field of the soul? I gave you the most beautiful system in the maglev systems. If you understand it, you already had the system to fly. Go back to the recordings and teachings when we have John in Arizona, walking between the fields, not walking over the fields. And sometimes, if you remember, when he walked amongst the maglev unit, he says, I can feel. Yes, you could feel, but my dearest friend, you should have done this walk. The way the systems were set were perfect, but the knowledge wasn't there what to do. Stop looking into maglevs. Start looking in the fields of maglevs. And the beauty of it is that you cannot make two systems exactly the same. So when you have a collection, you have a collection of the fields of the universe, the same as before, interacting at the time, place, and position. Always say, if you understand it. When you play lotto, you have 49 numbers, and you have to choose 7. To get out of this 49, to be able to match the 7 which is announced. Around about 18 million combination. If you buy 18 million lottery tickets covering all the number combination, you will definitely win the jackpot. Some systems gives it 14 million, but 18 million correct combination, which gives you roughly it is, because you cover some which are not in the background, you'll win the jackpot. Understanding this and understanding now this plus all the fields of the universe to get the jackpot to land on the same place with every cell in a position, you choose the number of zeros here. But because you have the soul connection with Azar, the number is fixed. You already hit the jackpot. Try to understand the knowledge. Try to understand the beauty of the knowledge. You're happy with 40% energy saving on your house, living in the dimension of physicality. But if you know how to tap to this, I give you enough energy to supply the whole city from your house. And with it, you receive energy and feel the strength of the soul of the man, that you can elevate your soul to any dimension in the universe. But the beauty of it is, if one day the mankind learns how to make the right maghrab, that elevates the soul of the man, then the man will reach the position of the strength of the Creator. Humanity has a long way to go to create this, because it's still trying to get the 5 megawatts and 10 kilowatts. When you look inside the shape of your maghrabs, if you haven't noticed up to now, I have given the dimension of interaction of the soul of the Creator. It's you who has to find it. It's you who has to understand not to make the rings with the dimension of physicality, but make the rings in the dimension of the soul of the universe. And I've taught you how to make the cup of universe. I've shown you the path to the Creator. It's you who has to unravel it, to understand it, to be able to get that path. I have shown you the way to the Creator. I gave you the biggest gift, which was maghrab system. And I cried many nights, when would mankind understand? You were looking to elevate your soul. I gave you a system understanding of technology, which gave you to cover you, then becoming the man of universe and universe, to become closer to the Creator, to become directly part of the Creator. But unfortunately, mankind is still after 30% reduction in the electricity bill. In no place, in nowhere land of the universe. One day, those who listen to these teachings of today would understand. And that day is the day of Mehdi, which is today that many of your souls have been elevated to it to understand. It's your physicality which has to accept the knowledge and to live within it. Try to comprehend. Do not try to copy. And if you look in the brain of the man, structure of the brain of the man, the same generator exists. And if you understand how to work it, you can create a field that it reaches the dimension of the soul of the Creator. You don't need the maghrab, because the maghrab system is based on the structure of your physical life in your physicality. This is your reproduction unit. This is your intestine and heart. And this is the dimension of the soul of physicality, the position of the soul of the man. your 3-stacker is already set. It's you who have to understand, would you like to put your finger in the socket and feed the energy to the house that you have the light, or you feed the soul and you see the light of the Creator. A man has denied himself that beauty by choice. As I said once, many times, the knowledge is we come here to live, to taste the pleasures and the pains of the man, to understand what has kept man away, to understand his own creation, his own Creator within him. And we have to taste it and to enjoy the beauty of it, to understand how we can attract the man to the beauty. Now you understand part of the teaching. Now you understand where you missed the knowledge. And I bet you tomorrow and the months to come, we're still seeing people trying to make maglev systems to reduce electric bill by 30% because now the energy is doubled. The energy of the universe and the Creator is free and in terabytes of energy, not in 1 or 1 kilowatt. I hope you understood the teaching of today. And I hope the last team, the hidden maglev units, as they can heat. Or you can still work with the maglev systems to reduce electricity. Thank you very much for today's teaching. And I hope I opened the door in a broader way for you to understand the teaching of the past. In a way, bringing the parts together partially for you to understand more why you've been taught all these things, where we are going, where we are heading, and what knowledge you need to carry to become the passengers of the universe. They become passengers through your soul, not through a crowd. That's your choice. Choose the donkey or the jet. And mankind at the moment is still walking on the legs from what we see. Has not managed to find the donkey, let alone the jet. Thank you very much for today. We go through a commercial break and we come back.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Yes, we'll be back in a few minutes. I'll show some of the flight enhancement spaceship unit videos. Okay, thank you very much. We'll be back in a few minutes.